Wagwan, everybody. Lennox here from S123 Trader. Hope everybody's doing well. This is the weekly outlook for November 29th to December 4th. This is the playbook uh, looking at all the futures and how they're setting up for the upcoming week. So starting off with the Australian dollar on the weekly time frame, um, we can see that we're at a resistance area and still heading to the upside, looking pretty strong for the Australian dollar at this time in the future. So going down to the daily time frame, although we're at this resistance area, and even though we have a red bar, I would look to see price continue into the upside further on into this week. Okay, so that's another few more bars here to break the highs and push north for the Australian dollar. Looking on the 4-hour time frame, I can draw you just a basic uh, of what the pattern is shaping up, and this move here I could see again continuing extending out into the upcoming week. Okay, so strength in the Aussie going forward. Let's take a look at Bitcoin and on the weekly time frame. So Bitcoin, actually, if I go to the monthly on Bitcoin, you can see we came very close to the previous high. We didn't quite make it, and it's taken a little little bit of a pullback. So dropping to the weekly, we did have a quite a drop, and then it took off again last week. So coming into this week now, you can see that pullback very strong, but now we're pushing back to the upside. You can see where we closed last week, and then now we're opened up very high. So lots of strength going into this week. So again, I would be looking at Bitcoin to continue its assault on the previous high. And right now you can see we might have some, a bit of sideways in here before it goes again, but looking pretty strong overall for Bitcoin going forward. So we probably see new highs in Bitcoin this week. Taking a look at crude oil. I'll go up to the weekly time frame. And crude oil also is pushing really strong to the upside. It just broke through a resistance and looking like it has lots of strength on the weekly. On the daily time frame, also pushing to the upside still. And again, looking at from the daily time frame, this structure, we would see continuation to the upside after this pullback. So we're in a bit of a pullback right now, but nothing dramatic, I would say. So you can see even at this level, it's a bit on the sideways side. So I would expect further move. Again, we could come down a little bit further, but expect further move to the upside going into this week for crude oil. Okay, and that's on the 4-hour. All right, let's take a look at the Canadian dollar on the weekly time frame. Okay, very strong to the upside as well, but we're right at resistance on the weekly. Big strong bar from last week, but we still have some highs to break through. So looking at the daily time frame, okay, again, we're right at that resistance, but looking at the structure, and it looks like we're gonna probably again meet a little bit of resistance in here before we continue to the upside. So looking like strength in the Canadian dollar going into this week as well. And going to the 4-hour, take a closer look. Yes, we still have that resistance area to assault, and we're on our way to doing that. So we can see that pushing up to challenge that high. Okay, let's take a look at the US dollar. And again, I'll start on the weekly time frame. And we're clearly in an overall downtrend from the weekly time frame. The structure is such, and we are at a very strong support. That was, a few weeks, more than a couple of months ago now. We had that support area, and we've come back to challenge it, and it's looking like we're going to be breaking through that this week. So on the daily time frame, we're on our way down and looking very weak. And if we drop to the 4-hour time frame, we are indeed pushing to the downside. Any pullbacks, any retraces would be opportunity to sell and continue the move to the downside. Okay, so that's U.S. dollar weakness. So that gives impetus for traders looking to trade the major pairs. You'd want to look for strength in the Aussie, Euro, GBP, New Zealand against the US dollar, and weakness in USD CAD, Swiss, Japanese yen to the downside. All right. Okay, let's take a look at the euro. So euro, again, we'd be looking for strength in the euro going to the upside against a weak US dollar. And right now that's what's playing out, but we're right at a resistance area. So both the US dollar is at a resistance, is at a support, and the euro is at a resistance. So that's exactly the opposite of each other, and that's how it should be. And on the daily time frame, we're trying to push through that resistance right now. On the 4-hour time frame going into the week here, we should be pushing through to the upside. We even had a gap up today, so looking pretty good to continue its strength to the upside. Okay, now let's take a look at the Swiss franc on the weekly time frame. Also looking quite strong here to the upside, but again, resistance. Again, we're right at that resistance, and this hasn't changed. It's just that block of resistance that's there for most of these futures currencies. Okay, so that's on the weekly. On the daily time frame, we are again pushing to the upside, but you can see the structure here very strong. So we're going to be assaulting this area, but again, we might hit a bit of resistance before we continue to the upside. So looking very strong going into this week for the Swiss as well. And go down to the 4-hour, take a closer look, and it's again very strong going up towards that resistance area. Okay, let's take a look at gold. And on the weekly time frame for gold, this is interesting because we were in sort of a triangle at one point, and expectation was perhaps for price to bounce off this triangle and continue to the upside, but instead prices dropped to the downside. So there is a line of support resistance right here, and we've hit that area. Are we ready to turn around? That will be the key question at this point. So on the daily time frame, it's possible that we could turn around after this move to the downside. It looks like that's what's trying to happen. So this pin bar here might be portending prices turning around. On the 4-hour, we're getting some green, and we could push back up. So basically, we are retracing this move down, so we could come back up into this area before we will know what's going to happen. Either come back down and go back up, or it could keep assaulting the lows and break through to the downside. So one or the other is going to play out. But right now, a little bit of strength in gold going into this week. We take a look at the Japanese yen and on the weekly. Strength in the Japanese yen right now to the upside, and on the daily, still pushing to the upside. You can see resistance is up here, so there's room for this to continue to the upside. On the 4-hour time frame, it is indeed trying to push to the upside, and our structure would be playing again up to this level. We could even reach this level on this move. So a little bit of strength in the Japanese yen going into this week. If we are totally wrong here, we might not break this level, and we would just be hitting here and then turning back down to this way. Right now, a little bit of strength. It's not dramatic like the others. Okay, so that would be the takeaway. New Zealand dollar. We'll go to the weekly. Okay, also very strong to the upside. It's been very strong, New Zealand, and we could be at an exhaustion point. Let's go to the monthly. And on the monthly, I just wanted to see over to the left, and you can see there's a very strong support resistance area right here, and the next level is here. So we could be heading to that area, but right now we're going to have a little bit of struggle on the lower time frame. So back to the weekly, we're here, we're getting a little bit of red, but nothing dramatic. You know, we've gone up a long way. We could be turning back down for a brief retrace. That's totally you know, doable. Come back down, you know, back to this area. We could even come back down to this area. That's totally possible. So looking like a little bit of weakness in New Zealand, but this could be short-lived. It could be just a small blip, and then we're going to continue. Okay, so keep your eye on New Zealand if you're playing any of its currencies. Mexican peso. This has been just rocking along to the upside, and you can see it's still going. Resistance is way up here, so it's got a long way to go. Daily, very strong. Still, we're just going a little bit sideways now on, you know, so if we drop down to the 4 hour, we're just a little bit of a sideways movement, but that could be short-lived, and we would continue to the upside. We could, of course, come back down to this level, you know, something like that, and then continue, but Mexican peso has been quite strong against the US dollar overall. Okay, let's take a look at the British pound on the weekly time frame. So British pound also very strong, just like the euro. We're right up against resistance as well. Daily time frame, very strong again, but we're right up against resistance. So it's going to be a little bit of a struggle still going into this week for the U.S. or for the British pound to break through these highs. And you can see that's what's happening right now. It's in a bit of a struggle, but I think it will continue to assault these highs, and we might see a breakthrough this week to the upside. Okay, so if the US dollar falters and continues down, then we would expect the US dollar to go, or sorry, the British pound to go higher as well. Okay, so let's take a look now at silver. I put silver on the list. It's similar to gold, so it's not that any big difference really. Okay, so it also reached a peak, and then now it's dropped down in our structure here. So it looks like we're done because we've hit the support area, and we should be bouncing. Even just a retrace of this move to continue down, or retrace to continue going back up. One or the other is going to play out here. So this is on the weekly time frame. So on the daily, we're getting a possible push back up, and on the 4 hour time frame, you can see that we're clearly on a support level. So on the 4 hour time frame, I would look for this to continue to the upside. And again, the same kind of scenario. We're going to play back up, maybe back up to this area, and either we're going to do this and continue, or we're going to break through to the downside, breaking this previous low. I'm more inclined for this to be going up. So we'll see which way that plays out. Okay, and take a look at the small cap Russell 2000 futures, and going into tonight's session here and for the rest of the week, very strong. Okay, if I go to the monthly, we're in new territory altogether here. So it's just on the move to the upside. So even at this on the weekly, very strong. On the daily, very strong. We're kind of sideways on the daily a little bit. You will see it even better on the 4 hour that we're a little bit sideways right now, and we are. But looks like we're going to be continuing to the upside this going into this week. Okay, so still some strength in the mid cap players in the stock market. Taking a look at the US 30, which is the Dow on the weekly time frame, also very strong, breaking to new highs. Is it going to continue, or was it just a fake out? Looks like it's going to continue based on this move. So dropping to the 4 hour, I would expect going into this week again further moves to the upside for the US Dow 30. Okay, so still looking pretty good there going into this week. Okay, we'll take a look at the S&P 500. It's the basket of 500 different stocks. And doesn't want to change. There we go. And we look on the weekly. and also very strong break into new highs and looking pretty strong here. And any pullback would be opportunity to jump in and take advantage and continue the push to the upside. Okay, so looking like strength and going into this week in the US 500 as well. And then lastly, the US technology group, which has been quite the leader over the last few months, going through this COVID stuff and looking at this on the weekly, also very strong. We haven't broken to new highs as yet, but it looks like this week will be it for the US tech. We'll be breaking through to new highs. It looks likely. So this will be quite interesting to see how this plays out for the remainder of the week. But structure-wise, looking like we are going to assault this previous high and break through to the upside and strength into this upcoming week. So that's a look at all the futures and what I think is setting up for this week. So if you're playing the major U.S. pairs, watch the U.S. dollar. Whatever it does, it's going to reflect on the other major pairs. So profitable trading to everyone. Be safe. We're done now. Thank you.